Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Ishvaro Guratmeti Moti Beda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Savavedanta Siddhantam Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Welcome. Verse 81, this Ātmā is indeed unborn, dreamless, limitless, self-luminous, effulgent, by its very nature. So we have seen the verse 81. The eternal Ātmā. I bow to Sri Dakshinamurti in the form of my Guru. I bow to him who in his loving kindness reveals to his worshippers the eternal self, which through the teachings available in the awakening, the teachings in regards to the awakening, dreaming, and dreamless sleep states available through childhood, youth, maturity, and old age, persists as the inexhaustible flow of knowledge, revealing itself in the heart as the ever-present sense aham. We never get moksha, but we only drop the notion that we are the body-mind, the limited body and mind. That's the nature of the self-evident self.
You're freezing just periodically, just for a minute of silence.
No.
I mean, right back. Not that.
No, it begins like
Actually,
that.
That doesn't seem to be happening with me, Lynn.
Huh?
Oh, really?
Perhaps it's your computer.
Okay.
Is it good with you, Mark?
Thank you.
Connection.
And how about you, Sylvia?
No, you're working fine with me.
No, you are breaking. Yeah, you are breaking up.
Okay, let me just restart it quickly. I'm sorry. It's happening very often lately. We'll take a few. Let me see one thing here. Okay. I think I'm not going to need to restart the computer. Let me just change here. Are you still there? Are you still there? Okay.
I don't mean that.
Say that I think it's going to be fine. I just changed the internet server because my computer, I turned it off properly last night and I turned it on today. It shouldn't have done any of that. Let's give it a try. Am I breaking up? Okay. Can I hear you?
Yeah.
I
Can you hear
can.
us? Okay.
If I break up again, let me know, okay? If I begin breaking up. So I was saying that the nature of this self, of this Ātmā, is the self-luminous light of consciousness, existence, that somehow illumines and reveals any and all phenomenal universe or objects. So, and does so by lending consciousness to the mind, which in its turn illumines one's environment to witness duality. That was the closing. And then the verse 82, because of the perception of one object or the other, this Ātmā is easily covered at all times, and it's known at any time with difficulty. This is a very interesting verse. It is somehow constructed in a way that may be a little confusing, but its meaning is very simple. In spite of Ātmā, which is the knowledge of the non-dual real nature of this phenomenal universe. So there is only consciousness. This is just a projection. It's just a mirage-like projection. So, but you know, the knowledge is there. But this knowledge does not cancel perception of duality. And objects are going to be appearing, one object on another. It keeps changing. Subtle mental objects, and then which are impressions of our collection of impressions from the Vyavaharika. So we're going to experience duality. Perception of reality persists. So because the perception of duality persists even after Ātmā is properly assimilated, this Ātmā, it says this Ātmā is easily forgotten. Anytime it may happen. This Ātmā is easily covered by a video. When? At any time it may happen. Why? Because we perceive duality all the time. 24/7 we are perceiving duality. We have the knowledge. The knowledge has to be really available to offset this perception that somehow deep subconsciously says that duality is also reality. Perception of reality, duality persists. It's so easy that this knowledge of the non-dual nature of reality, it gets challenged by this perception of duality. Therefore, it says that this Ātmā is easily covered at any possible time. When you let's imagine that you just have a hook with something, some residual likes and dislikes, attachment or fear is there, and then you react. From the standpoint of perception is reality. Duality is reality. So you are perceiving, you interact, you experience, and you are a human being. And then you experience within duality, and within duality you may have some reaction. But here it says that this Ātmā is easily covered. It's easily forgotten, at any time. And it's known at any time as well. To know Ātmā, to gain this knowledge of the non-dual nature of the self, of reality, it's possible. Anytime it's possible, but it takes a lot of effort, difficulty, preparedness, maturity, qualifications, and so on. So to gain this knowledge, to know it, although it's available at any time, it's only possible through a process of great spiritual effort. And then it says, but because perception does not go anywhere, it's very easy we forget it. But at the same time, we know that the knowledge, once it is properly assimilated, it is retained. And even if here and there it appears that the one retaining this knowledge reacts in a human manner, as if, you know, oh, no, you know, I'm taking it serious because I want what I want, you know. Don't say this, you know, whatever. You know, even though there is room for those kind of reactions, human reaction, we know that the knowledge, once the knowledge is properly assimilated, it's never really forgotten. What happens to the yearning then? It quickly recovers if it has any, you know, overreaction, which is somehow suggesting that the yearning is bound to the world. In other words, it's bound to, you know, the experience of duality that he would appreciate the most. No? It may appear that way, but the yearning is the one that recovers quickly, and those situations happen more and more seldomly, you know, and more and more, less and less profoundly, those moments occur. So it's a kind of a warning of the Pada Charya gives a warning to all yanis, all Vedantic students, by pointing out that through Shravana and Manana, Vedanta will be understood, grasped. And all you need is to have certain qualifications, a mature mind. You have a good intellect, you're going to see the logic, and then you see that it's irrefutable, this knowledge. And then once understood, we know we have the second stage, which is internalizing this knowledge to the extent that it improves and furthermore transforms the experience we have. Experience. Oh, but that is not about experience. It's not, it's knowledge, but we are doing that because we want to have a better experience about ourselves and the world. In other words, we want to be in peace and satisfied and happy, without any attachment. As long as we attribute reality to duality, we attach to what we want, and we can never experience peace, because life is a apparent realm. The experience of life is unpredictable, and you don't have any sense of security. So if you believe that all of that really is so relevant, you're going to live with a disturbed mental attitude 24/7, except when you sleep in the night. So Gadapada is giving a warning to everybody. So Vedanta begins with Shravana Manana. Receiving the teaching is not really difficult, but what is difficult is to receive it and to digest it and to assimilate it and furthermore internalize it. So internalization of knowledge, what it does transform the way the individual experiences its instrument, body-mind, the relationship between this aspect of reflected consciousness. It sees the body-mind objectively, and it has a certain view of that objectively. In another way, there is a totally different relationship with the instrument, because that false notion that I am the body-mind instrument was broken. So now I see it objectively. Yeah? And then what happens? So he has a view of the body-mind as a mere instrument, and through this body-mind, it sees the world also differently. It sees the world as a school. School is a good way to put it. Now, you're going to transact here, and then there is a potential for spiritual growth, spiritual elevation, and then you're going to live from the perspective of your true nature. your divine nature, your consciousness nature. Receive the teaching is not very difficult, but internalizing it to the extent that it transforms you and the way you perceive the world, it depends on what? Depends on assimilation and retention of this knowledge. So how this knowledge is going to be retained? It's going to be retained when it's retained, you know? And then you don't really forget it. You don't need to keep remembering it. Until then, you have to put your audio and keep repeating. No matter how long you repeat it, you know, with your headset, internalization is something that requires a very fine contemplation until it's absolutely clear and doubtless. I am consciousness. I transferred my sense of identity from the instrument body mind to consciousness. What is enlightenment? Is a transference of a sense of identity from the body mind to consciousness. And then once that transference takes place, the individual feels that something has radically changed. So I no longer feel that I am this bag of bones and juice and dirt and whatnot. I'm none of this, and I'm not even the thoughts and notions. So once that is seen, it's no longer subject to forgetfulness. But yet, for all those yanis, the senior yanis is still working to consolidate this doubtless self-knowledge. This warning is very important. So be very, very careful with your knowledge. So keep doing your nididhyasana. Don't go off guard believing that now you are a great Mahatma. Just keep doing your nididhyasana until the retention, the remembrance of the teaching is effortless. So, and then Swami reminds us that there are two kinds of nididhyasana. The samadhi or meditative, nididhyasana. Okay, now, okay, I have been doing my nididhyasana through the day, but now I got home and I want to sit my puja room or my meditation room, which is more common to us, and I want to do nididhyasana. What kind of meditation is this? I just sit there and I remember my true self, my true nature. And how you do so? I don't know, just those notions or those thoughts, those pointers presented by the Upanishads keep popping in my mind, and I feel totally truthful to those, harmonize the cells of my body and mind, and I feel like, okay, now I am in my natural state because I am firmly established in my true nature, and what is natural, feels good, feels comfortable. So that is the nididhyasana that we do in our meditation room. But anybody can meditate with on whatsoever one prefers. One may prefer on an image of a guru, image of Krishna, or different features of Saguna Ishwara as the creator, this incredible supreme intelligence, knowledge, that which is sustaining the entire apparent universe through its law. I mean, this meditation Saguna Ishwara is wonderful as well, but it comes a point that you say, I'm tired of appreciating Saguna Ishwara. I'm his number one fan, but now, I don't want to be dependent on my idol, I want to go beyond this duality. And then I moved into the final meditation, which is meditation on the nirguna nature of Ishwara. Better said, the nirguna nature of the self, the guna Ātmā of my very Ātmā as Jiva Ātmā, which is the same Ātmā of Ishvara Ātmā and the Brahma Ātmā. There is only one Ātmā, one self, one consciousness. So how are we going to do this nididhyasana so we can do it meditatively in our room? For those who have the teachings properly, profoundly imprinted in our minds so that we stop and then the scriptures comes, and then I go into that flow, and then those thoughts, becomes a trance kind of state, just remembering my nature through all those pointers of the Upanishad. That is the nididhyasana in the silence, peaceful space of my living room, dwelling on the teachings. But for some people, that kind of nididhyasana is not required. The person says, no, I'm a fast learner. I got it. And I have a lower back that hurts when I sit. So I'm gonna do my nididhyasana while interacting with the Dhamma field. I'm transacting and I'm doing my nididhyasana. It's a little bit more challenging, of course. The first is Samadhi Abhyasa Nididhyasana. This is Brahma Abhyasa Rupa Nididhyasana. So the difference is that the second one, I am engaging the world. Through my transactions, this knowledge is available, in my mind. It's alive in my mind. And then Swami presents a very beautiful, very important point here. When we are transacting with the world, it's more challenging. Why? Because the world is changing all the time. Transaction is not something smooth and uniform. Why? Because transaction is controlled by all the factors operating the field, which we call karma on the collective level. So now I'm transacting and there are so many variables, so many different factors. Everything is controlled by karma. And I'm supposed to dwell upon the teachings while transacting the back of my mind subconsciously, So, but the field is changing all the time, and that is going to trigger some human reactions based on our preference or likes and dislikes. And that does not happen when we are in a meditation room, free from these oscillations and change, many of them violent change. There is just a piece of my meditation room. So it's more easy that we forget, more easy that the teachings, are not there to protect us. You may lose more easily your alertness or conviction of self-knowledge while interacting with this frenetically changing world. It's only an appearance, but then once you interact more easily, you may fall for it. And it's easy that we react as if there is really reality to it. So we know how it goes. Getting lost in this appearance will give us the impression that this world is satya. In my meditation room, I have a certainty of knowledge that this world is mithya. But once I'm interacting and things get tough, and then my certainty this world is mithya is converted, this world is satya. So this is a fact, we know that. Therefore, it's somehow recommended to most of us to do the Samadhi Adhyasa Rupa Nididhyasana. Therefore, it's easy to slip. Once you slipped out from that certainty of self-knowledge, state of knowledge, certainty of self-knowledge, clarity of self-knowledge, once you get off of that, it's a little more difficult to get back to it. Gaudapada says it as a warning. The essential nature of the self is easily covered or forgotten because the projection of duality does not go away with Ātmā. Interacting with the changing world will challenge that certainty of self-knowledge, as if it's easily forgotten. But once it's properly internalized, it's not that easily forgotten. In fact, it becomes impossible to forget it. Okay? Just in the beginning for the junior yanis, Let's remember the fifth capsule of Vedanta. By forgetting my real nature, convert life into a burden. By remembering my real nature, I convert it into a blessing. Gaudapada says that forgetfulness of one's true nature as limitless conscious existence is relatively easy because duality is there, challenging one's self-knowledge or certainty that reality is non-duality. All over the place, you're going to face challenges because duality is going to be there. Triggering what? Triggering some residual, likes and dislikes, in the mind of the yani. Preference, so whatever, it's there. Every object is going to produce a sensation of attraction or repulsion, even in the mind of the yani. The only difference that the yani, due to this self-knowledge, which was retained, properly retained, this reaction of attraction or repulsion is largely minimized. You understand? It's just a little thing like that, and then it's over. But experiencing duality is going to produce a certain sense of attraction or repulsion. The yani goes there and then sees a child being beaten up or abused. It's going to produce a reaction of repulsion. And it's natural because the sage there is still a human being. He may even get a stick and get violent to try to beat up the man who was abusing a child. So it's all very fine. Duality always produces a sense either of okayness or not okayness. What or so what, after all? And then it says that coming down from the certainty of self-knowledge to the dualistic empirical experience of the world is a downhill process which happens very easily, isn't it? No? It's very easy. Especially at the beginning, we need great effort to hold this knowledge until it does not go downhill anymore easily. It may appear that, oh, no way. Knowledge is that which is always good. So coming down from that, he's referring to my interpretation, he is referring to junior yanis. Okay? So you got there, you understood it, you enjoy your true nature, and you have a sense of equanimity and peace. Okay, but be very careful because duality is there, and when you least expect, some likes and dislikes are going to be triggered. And then you're gonna feel what? That you have lost your certainty of self-knowledge. And you should never fall for this second notion, thought that you have lost it, because then it becomes a problem. You understand? Then it becomes a real problem. No, it's just a moment of humanity that came to the surface, and you got like this, you got like that, you did beat up that person. Am I still freezing?
You're breaking up quite badly now, Arlindo.
Breaking up very badly?
That last 30 seconds or so.
Okay. You want me to stop and restart it? It will take a few minutes. Shall we do that or not?
I don't think, let's try not, because you went for a long time without any problem.
Okay.
So I think it's very periodic. So let's try to go.
I'm gonna change my glass. Maybe that's the problem with the wrong pair of glass. And then it says coming down is relatively easy. So you remember those days that we were dealing with some hardwired vasanas, and then you make a tremendous effort to overcome that kind of ignorance, a pattern that somehow brings us down again and again to a sense of failure, a sense of inadequacy or unworthiness. You know, no, I don't want to go that way. I don't want to move. I don't want to have that attitude, to have that kind of response and so on. So we may be very, very alert doing that work. And then there is a moment that you somehow say, okay, I'm being so disciplined. I'm going to that part and going to get drunk a little bit and have fun, you know, and then you just lose your alertness. And then when you see you do things, and then you have a fall, you have a drop, a fall, and it was so easy. Yeah, it was a moment of lack of alertness and discipline that, you know, ignorance is heavy. It really comes down, such as any object pulled by gravity is ignorance has enormous pulling effect. So, and then climbing up again, it's going to need what? More vigilance and more work. Yeah? And then he says here, if you come down, if you fall, you know, which is very easy to fall because you are under the pressure of vasanas and you cannot keep your alertness at all times. You cannot do nididhyasana at all times. If by any way, if you sleep here and there, don't make the recovery difficult. Let the recovery be easy, a piece of cake. Wow, so never add an element of I made a mistake, it shouldn't be, you know. I mean, you should never worry and say that I am inadequate, I am hopeless, I am helpless, this vasanas or this ignorance, I will never be free, you know. So just fall and stand up again right away. Remember that analogy that says that human beings are like a ball. You know, you get a ball made out of clay, and then if you don't bake it enough, with a proper proportion of elements in there, if you bake it enough, it becomes very hard. You know, but if you just put in the oven a little bit, but it's still wet and did not get solidified and so on, when it falls, it breaks into many pieces. It's just like poof. So some people like that, if they have a small fall, it's, oh my God, now I have 3 years of therapy to try to recover from this fall. Now, you can just treat yourself, bake yourself properly, that you fall, you don't break into pieces, And then the ultimate human being is more like, it does not go into clay, it goes into rubber. He makes himself a rubber ball in a way that if he falls, he bounces back immediately. So that's what we need to remember. We never fall and stay there. And once we fall, we get up very, very rapidly, not giving space for the mind to say, oh, you lost it. Oh, you're a helpless kid. Oh, you're never going to get free. To be human is natural. Don't make this knowledge, this notion that enlightenment is a perfect being that, never does anything, never says anything inadequate. Of course, you become more and more adequate and beautiful and wise, but there is room for expressions of our human nature that sometimes comes a little bit weird. So this is very important piece of psychology here, because adding this psychological problem, it shouldn't be, and this and that, is going to bring up a feeling of guilty, which is going to make the sleep even farther down into a greater level of samsara. Samsara is a psychological condition. So if you add guilt and sense of inadequacy or helplessness, and then you go into a greater samsara that he calls a meta samsara. So attitude is very important here. For this sleeping, the entire dualistic world is not normally responsible. So the world is not responsible for you crashing into the meta samsara, because that meta samsara is a psychological attitude, mental attitude that only you can produce. The duality is never really powerful enough to produce your distraction mentally, psychologically. You yourself, your mind can do that. So this fall is not available only due to the world of duality. You are responsible. So again, we have to remember, we fall because we remain still somehow attached to some objects, some residual piece of ignorance here and there. And then we have a sense that we have fallen. He says, and any small little mistake like that is not a big deal, but if you make it a big deal, and then it's going to be exactly like a mosquito inside a mosquito net. It's enough one little mistake, it's enough one little mosquito to ruin your night of sleep. In India, people sleep with, and then there is all one mosquito that hides below the pillow that ruins our night of sleep. So any circumstance, any situation, any moment, however small, may be a trigger to bring you back into samsara or in meta samsara. All of that due to perception of duality. And the perception of other people is even more triggering, especially when you are hooked to objects such as other people, when there is attachment or other objects causing preoccupation. This brings binding duality. Binding duality. Even a sannyasi is not totally immune to this, because the problem is in the mind. Very nice. Oh, then sannyasi is the way to go, because you go to the ashram, you're not going to be transacting the world. No, but the world is still within your mind. This way, Ātmā is covered by avidya, Gaudapada used the word Bhagwan for the self, for the Ātmā. Gaudapada has consistently negated everything anathema. And so Ishvara, anathema, if considered as a being, remote being in the heavens or in a loka, this has also been refuted by him as anathema. So again, Gaudapada is saying that Ishvara Jivajagata is anathema. Even Ishvara as the most sublime energy called Ātmā, Sattva, Sattva, yeah? Energy responsible for the entire universe, intelligence of the entire universe. Even that is anathema because it is a superimposition of energy upon that which is consciousness. So he calls Bhagwan for Ātmā, but be careful, Swamiji is saying. When he used Bhagwan here, he is talking about Turiya, about conscious existence, Satchitananda. He's talking about Brahman, but he used Bhagwan, and then people may think that he's referring to Bhagwan, the creator, or Ishvara, the creator, but he's referring to the self, to consciousness, okay? Why? Because, why to be careful? Because Bhagwan, as a creator, is anathema as well. I'm sorry, you need to be mature enough to understand that. It's not blasphemy or anything. It's just a statement of a fact. Devotees who think that Ishvara is a powerful entity living remote somewhere, they will be very upset with the teachings of Gaudapada and many other scriptures of Vedanta. Gaudapada does not negate Ishvara, but negates the idea that, but only the idea of Ishvara as anathema. Gaudapada does not negate Ishvara, but only the idea of Ishvara as anathema. So Gaudapada does not negate Ishvara, it only presents the notion that Ishvara is anathema. Or what else? Let me see what he's trying to say here. For him, Ishvara is Turiyam. Okay, understood. So the question is, Gaudapada does not have anything against Ishvara because he considers Ishvara Nirguna Ishvara. The true Ishvara is Nirguna Ishvara, it's not Saguna Ishvara. The devotees that get upset with Gaudapada, they don't have any notion or the capacity to understand Nirguna Ishvara, and then they see Ishvara as Saguna Ishvara, with all the attributes of God. No? But Gaudapada sees Ishvara as Nirguna Ishvara. No? He does not see as the anathema Ishvara, which is Saguna Ishvara. Saguna is anathema. Saguna is superimposition of the gunas, Saguna. So anything that was colored by the gunas, you need to be able to see through the namarupas, the attributes of the namarupas, to get to what Gaudapada is saying. To him, God is Nirguna God. Ishvara, you see Ishvara as the Namarupa Krishna, but he sees Ishvara, Krishna, not as the Namarupa Krishna, but a formless, conscious existence of limitless nature. Therefore, for Gaudapada, Ishvara is Turiya Ātmā. Gaudapada reinstates that Ishvara is the Ātmā. Ishvara is Nirguna Ātmā. So the whole process of Vedanta is to understand Saguna Ishvara until we just resolve Saguna Ishvara as Nirguna Ishvara. That's why Krishna said in the Gita, Arjuna, I am the self who resides in the hearts of all beings, and I am the cause of the creation I'm the cause of sustenance and the resolution of all beings and things. I am the self. I live in the heart of every creature. I pervade. I'm the substratum. I'm the adhistanam of everything. Therefore, I reside in the core of all beings. And I am the apparent cause of this creation, sustenance, and resolution. Until we are ready to understand Bhagavan as Nirguna Ātmā, Bhagavan is going to be taken to be Saguna Ātmā, or in other words, Anattama. Nobody has a problem here. We are a small group. Oh, I forgot to change the mode here. Let me see here. Okay. Okie dokie. It's verse 83. It is existent and it is non-existent. It is existent and non-existent. You remember those different philosophies? One of them will say, no, it is the true nature of the universe. Reality is existence. No, it's non-existence. It's both. It is existence and non-existence. It is totally non-existent. So there are all different views of reality, but such views, they are byproduct of indiscriminate minds. The indiscriminate one verily covers this Ātmā by attributing change and changelessness. Okay? So if we have seen that everything that exists now but becomes non-existent before, therefore before the creation or origination of the universe, it was non-existent and then become existent. It came from existent, or it is both. No? It was not there, but then it's there, or it was there and then appeared to be here. Manifest, and so on. All those notions, those views, they belong to a mind under the spell of avidya. Appears as the self is being covered by all these notions, which are but attributes, which implies change. In some will say changelessness, and then Gaudapada goes even beyond and say, know that both change and changelessness or non-existence, they are all avidya. So how can change take place unless it is in the background of changelessness? And how are you gonna hold on to a notion of changelessness unless you hold on to the idea of change as well? As we know, the true nature of the self, or reality, is beyond all the pairs of opposites, which includes existent or non-existent. Let's see what Swami says. Any anathema. What is anathema? I mean, we are interested in the body-mind complex. It's the anathema that we want to understand. He says that those anathemas, human anathemas, they are moved by likes and dislikes. And likes and dislikes have the potential to bring us down, as we have seen in the previous verse. Down from where? From our self-knowledge, the knowledge in regards to our essential, whole, full, and complete nature, non-dual nature. Gaudapada says that this anathema that brings one down need not be concrete or tangible. It can be just concepts, philosophical concepts. Attachment to intangible things like ideas, concepts, philosophical systems can create as much samsara than attachment to your beloved one, to your house, or to your car. Because attachment is attachment, investment. You invest in an Ātmā. What is the Ātmā invest now? Oh, it's not physical, it's not tangible, it's conceptual. I'm a philosopher and I'm attached to conceptual objects, philosophies, systems. It will produce samsara. Even these abstract concepts, they are expressions of an Ātmā. And then he says, even abstract anathema like other darshanas, and even the vision of Vedanta, the concepts presented by Vedanta, if converted into a vision, is anathema. So what he's trying to say here, Vedanta is Ātmā or anathema. So Vedanta is anathema because it's a body of knowledge. It's a teaching, revealed teaching, which use the language of duality and use the platform of all pairs of opposites to guide us to understand non-duality. So if we take the vision of Vedanta from the standpoint of its body of knowledge, it can cause what? Vedantic samsara. Those people that somehow know it all philosophically, academically, and they go and they fight, they get uptight and this and that, you know, they go try to convert others. That is samsara. Even Vedanta can bring about samsara and the fall. Words like satyam, yanam, and anatma, anantam, are not for describe some object. Ātmā. Ātmā is not any object, but we use language which have the connotation of qualities and attributes which are relevant only if Ātmā would be an object. But the Ātmā is not an object of knowledge or a conceptual object, and much less an object of experience, as we know. All of these teachings serve the purpose to point to me that I myself, conscious being, am aware of these teachings, and I am the only reality. The description should help me claim that I am the light of consciousness, you know, by which I am getting in contact with these descriptions of myself, but I am the light. These descriptions coming from the material world of duality, the only language we have. People like Ramana try to convey it from silence, because understanding the problem of dualistic language is saying it's better not to say anything, because anything we say is gonna bring about confusion. Isn't it? Almost everything we say brings about confusion, huh?
Well, at the very best, it falls short of the absolute truth. We can never describe the absolute truth, so the words don't get there. They can be pointers to us and help us, but
yeah, because the
we
words,
can't arrive there.
the words are developed for describing phenomenal objects, you know, and now we're using those words, which are based on attributes of objects, to describe the nature of reality, which is you, consciousness, you know, the absolute subject, which is not the mind. So all of that can be misleading, can cause samsara. Words, where I am. Words such as Satyam, Yanam, and Anantam are not for describing Ātmā as an object, but for pointing to me that I am consciousness, I am aware of these teachings, you know, And all of that is just pointing to me using language that may be misleading the person to believe that it's regarding to something other than myself. No? It's regarding to I consciousness, but I haven't shifted my identity from the mind to consciousness. Therefore, I'm confused. I feel that it's talking about something objective, such as Brahman, as if Brahman or consciousness is something other than the self. Point to me, the descriptions of Brahman or consciousness should help me to understand that we are talking about me, not about consciousness or Brahman. Like we heard many times in China world, Vedanta is not about Vedanta, it's about you, consciousness. Vedanta is just teachings that talks about different things using examples and parallels based on our dualistic experience in Mithya to create analogies and metaphors and examples to point to that which our true nature, such as space. You know? It's pointing to that. It should help me to understand and claim, yes, I am that consciousness. That description is about me, consciousness. I thought it was about consciousness as out there. Where is consciousness? Oh, it's very sad, so I'm going to have to work hard to find consciousness in the world. No, consciousness is the light by which I perceive and experience this world. It's here, shining in my intellect, allowing me to be a knower experience of this dualistic world. It's a description about me. The description is not a concept, but it is myself, talking about myself, Satyam. They are not concepts, but they can be taken as concepts. So it can create a Vedantic samsara or can provide the individual with true liberation, with the understanding of one's true nature as free consciousness, unchanging consciousness, limitless consciousness, one without a second consciousness. These are not concepts, it's the very nature of what we are. But the human mind has this dualistic tendency when it goes about learning something that it brings into the realm of duality. I, the knower, and the object of knowledge, and the object of knowledge must be something other than myself, and that makes samsara even more subtle. And the person searching from consciousness, we heard this this mantra many times. You are what you were searching for. You are what you're looking for. You are the one doing the looking, and you are looking for yourself. We heard that many times. So it's all about revealing ourselves, but this revelation is still can easily be covered by the sense of every knowledge must be dualistic by knowledge. Should be I myself knowing something out there other than myself. So when you tell people, no, it's only about yourself, it's you knowing yourself, the first thing that people think is like, okay, how could I not see that? It's about me knowing my attitudes. It's about me knowing my emotional body. Or it's about me knowing my vasanas. No, it's about you knowing that you are the self, which is not subject to any superimposition of vasanas or thoughts, body, no, nothing. So knowing yourself, self-knowledge is very fine knowledge because It's a knowledge that depends on the collapse of duality, the knower and the known. How many times have you heard that? Self-knowledge online is about the collapse of the knower, object of knowledge, and knowledge. So it collapses. Because you want to know something in duality, you're going to have to go through these three principles. I, the knower, the object of knowledge, and the knowledge acquired through this transaction of gaining knowledge. So know yourself, it is the final end. It's the last abstraction in this process, is this tendency to still find what you are somehow out there as something other than what you really are. You understand? It's most final. This is something to do a profound nididhyasana meditation upon this, because it remains there until, you know, the ha-ha takes place, and then one just understands this, you know, to the very end. There is a sense of projecting what I'm looking upon Mithya, upon some phenomenal experience available in Mithya. And I mean, and on that level, we project on certain incredible, transcendental, spiritual, mystical state, you know, or a peace that is always present. No, you are the light, you know, or you are the consciousness, not subject to any state. The states are happening and running through you, and you are trying to find yourself in one of those states. Forget it. You are that always ever present and available, illumining any changing phenomenal experience. The description should help me to understand my nature and claim that I am that consciousness. The description was about myself. The description is not a concept, but it is myself. It's my nature, Satyan. These teachings are concepts until they are no longer concepts, but they are just your very nature. Attachment to these concepts before the concepts have really served the purpose to reveal your true nature can bring the person to Vedanta samsara, philosophical systems, even Vedantic philosophical samsara. And then if one is a philosophical, academic Vedanti samsara, it's going to feel compelled to dispute with other schools. Vedanta, the learning, the final byproduct of this process does not compel or invite anybody to fight any other school. We do not quarrel with anybody. We don't see any of these schools as reality, therefore they don't deserve quarreling. We should not get carried away by any vision, because the vision is just, we talk about Vedanta as a vision, yeah? And then often people believe us in the Vedantic vision. They say, maybe it's a vision that finally enough I get it right, and now I have the vision of Brahman. No. Vedantic vision is the vision of duality which persists from the standpoint of Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. This is the Vedantic vision. But if I take the Vedanta body and knowledge or teaching methodology or philosophy or school of thought, then I will feel compelled to argue with others. Any such a vision, which is a superimposition, a projection of reality upon a certain philosophy, will cover up our true nature. An advice that's given to all Vedantic Yanis students in their initial stage is never to argue with any other people. Shankara. Narada says in the Bhakti Sutras that argument means the ego is involved. And if the ego is involved, it is already a signal that avidya is operating. And sooner or later is going to make us to forget our true nature because we got caught up in an egoic discussion, isn't it? Gaudapada mentions 4 darshanas that have different ideas about Ātmā, the 4 schools of thoughts, but we're going to see it all tomorrow again. Okay? Anything else?
This is just really useful for me.
It is.
Because I can fall into the conceptual notion of the self. And it's a trap for the intellect.
This teaching is a teaching that is very helpful only for very advanced students in this nididhyasana process. It is a natural tendency that remains until the last moment. This tendency of looking for the self or Brahman objectively as if something other than yourself, or taking the teaching to be reality. No, you are the reality. The teaching is a tool pointing to you as the only reality, consciousness. So it's a very, very subtle and profound teaching. Okie dokie. Tomorrow we come with more. Anything else, Mark?
No, like Lynn says, it's wonderful stuff. Thoroughly enjoying it. And yeah, it's great, when he says about when you fall, just get up and carry on and go back to it. And don't get so caught up in the whole egoic mind again. Just stand up and do it again. Because I find myself from time to time getting involved in Maya. And so I just keep coming back and knowing the truth and abiding in that truth.
Absolutely. Very good. So we meet again tomorrow on Mandukya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.
Love you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Right. Thank you, Arlinda. Okay.